Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Passport to Paradise. I am so excited and grateful that you all have taken some time out this evening to spend some time learning about, all of the things that you're going to need in order to move forward and purchase a home in the Dominican Republic and know if this is right for you. Time is the most precious thing that we own. And again, I am so grateful that you're spending an hour of it with me tonight. So without further ado, here we go. For those of you who know me, I am Michelle Bordeaux. For those of you who don't know me, that's who I am. I'm originally from Canada, Windsor, Ontario, once upon a time. I moved to the Dominican Republic in 1999. So yes, you can do the math. I, I am at the start of my 27th year of living here, which is so wonderful. I learned to windsurf and I chose to stay. I have opened and ran a successful massage therapy practice. I came here as an RMT, for those of you from Canada know what that is. And I eventually turned it into an award-winning spa that is about to celebrate its 15th anniversary this December 17th. In 2003, at the ripe old age of 29, I purchased my very first property. And it was the best thing that I have ever done, both for myself personally and for myself financially. In 2009, I started something called the Cabaret Butterfly Effect. It's an event that celebrates the empowerment and leadership of girls and women through ocean sports, and it is now the largest water sport event for women in the Caribbean. And we will be celebrating our 18th annual event come this summer. And moving forward in time to 2021 is when I jumped in and I joined the team here at RealtorDR, which brings us together tonight. So, like I do at the beginning of all of my webinars, I like to do a little bit of Hogwarts sorting hat. Make sure that you're in the right place. Sometimes you click on something on Facebook or Meta and you've got no idea how the heck you got here. So, just a quick recap. This is for you if you've been daydreaming about a home in the Dominican Republic, but you don't know where to start. You need more info. You're a first-time buyer and you want to understand the real steps, the legal stuff, what to expect. You gotta know what's gonna happen before you jump in, obviously. You got a million questions and you want real, honest answers from someone who lives and works here. You're curious about the lifestyle, you want to know about the beaches, the culture, community, and you want to know, is this gonna be a good fit for me? You're planning a move or an investment in the DR and you want to make sure that you do it safely and smartly. Okay. This is also for you if you've been Googling. Have you been Googling how to buy a home in the DR? But you keep ending up more confused, like you get an answer here and an answer there, and but now we get to have all the answers. And you just want to feel confident before making one of the biggest decisions in your life. So I'm here to lend you a hand tonight and to pass on a whole host of information that I hope you're going to find really helpful. So again, making sure that you know we're in the Dominican Republic. So the Dominican Republic, just so everybody knows, you can see on that cute little map I got there, we are in the Caribbean. We have Puerto Rico to the east of us. We have Cuba and Jamaica to the west. Dominican Republic is one of the fastest growing economies in Latin America. We have warm weather year round. People ask me often as a Canadian, do you miss the seasons? And I say no, I do not. I like summer all year round, and it doesn't get old either. Um, you get more for less. Your ability to purchase a property here is greatly expanded compared to other Caribbean islands. Other Caribbean islands you can't even get into anything for under $1 million. Not here in the DR. Real estate's attainable. We have great food at great quality prices. This island produces more than enough food to sustain itself and the millions and millions of tourists that come here every year. We have a booming tourism industry, which is another reason why it makes investing in real estate so wise. And we have a stable government. Government here is, everything is good here. We here Cabarete Sosua on the north coast where I am. Some of you might be interested in Punta Cana, but up here on the north coast, we are known as the water sport capital of the Caribbean, which is a big draw for us here. We do have an amazing quality of life. I love my life here, and I'll share more about that as we go through this. We do have affordable healthcare. especially compared with the US. Canadians have, their wonderful healthcare, and we've got great international schools, of which I have two kids, and they happen to go to one. So I hope these are all like, getting you ready for some of the, all of those great reasons why coming to the DR, investing in the DR is a great idea. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into some FAQs now. Before I was going through the buying process, but I want to answer all of those questions that you and I, when we get on the phone together, okay, are going to talk about first before we even get to the buying process. So we're going to go through a few of the most common questions that I get asked all the time, and then I'm going to walk you through the buying process, and then we're going to jump into our amazing, robust Q&A. Now, just so you guys know, I cannot present and be present to the chat at the same time. As much as I would love to have eyes in multiple parts of my head, I do not. Don't tell my children. And so anything that you're dropping in the chat right now, I'm not going to be able to get to until the end. Someone who's on our team, we've got a few amazing Realtor DR agents who are present with us tonight, so they might be able to answer some of your questions ahead of time. But just know that in probably about 20, 25 minutes time, we're going to get to that Q&A, and maybe I'll have answered some things in the meantime. All right. So here we go. Can a foreigner buy property in a DR? I answered this question on the phone today. The answer is yes. You don't need a special visa. You don't need to have your residency sorted out yet. No matter your citizenship status, you can own property in the Dominican Republic. This country chose a few years back to make foreign investment a priority, and this is how they've done it. So, what are the costs I don't see? I see the number on the website, this house costs blah, 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 but we all know, those of us who've bought real estate already, we know that that's not the only thing. So we've got closing costs of between 4 to 6%. It's usually mostly 4, but every now and again, special circumstances or multiple contracts could mean it's a bit more. And 1 to 2% for your lawyers. Okay. That depends on your contracts. And then 3% is fixed for title transfer taxes. Okay. So that's what the government charges you to put your title in your name when you get your house. Healthcare. Healthcare is another big question. We have great healthcare here. We really do. Um, excuse me. um, Standard doctor visits are really easy. Um, we've got high quality eye doctors here. There are amazing physicians, dentistry. Dentistry is top quality here, and we've got a lot of amazing dentists on this island. So here I've kind of got, your standard general doctor visit, $25. A dental cleaning, $25 without insurance. And you can get, so here, I know on our website it says it's a lot less, but I'm going to assume that if you're anything like me, top tier insurance isn't necessarily just like top tier in the country. So I have two kinds of health insurance. I have the top tier Dominican health insurance, which is my sort of top up. And that is, that costs me about $700 a year. And then I've got an extra insurance where that allows me to go anywhere in the world and get anything done. So I carry both. That insurance is anywhere, from, 1 to 2,000 per year or and up, depending on how much coverage you want and how many bells and whistles and your age and deductible and all that kind of fun stuff. Okay. But just know you come here, you're good to go. Are there additional costs to home ownership? Yes. So, and if you're owning a property that's above $170,000, that's the approximate um, exemption that exists. If you own more than that, okay, if your property is officially valued at say like $200,000, you're going to pay 1% of $30,000. Okay. If your property is valued at less than that, you pay nothing. How great is that? So how long can you stay? I'm not a resident. I'm not a citizen. How does that work? So the DR has also, again, they've made this part really easy. You don't have to be running around trying to, extend a visa and any of that nonsense here. You just overstay. So they do want you to show a flight leaving when you come in, but you can overstay your tourist visa. And if you overstay that tourist visa, you just pay a fine. And it's not punitive, meaning it's not, you're not in trouble. Okay, but that's just how they choose to do to have that's how they choose to do it. Okay, you're just gonna pay. There's a set fine for 1 to 3 months, for 3 to 6, 6 to 9, a year, and then 2 years, 3 years, la 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 la. La. I would imagine most of us will be under a year. For example, staying 3 months at a time, you're gonna pay about $45 to leave the country extra. It's really not that bad. So for now, it's really easy. So do you need to get residency? Nope, you don't. I kind of, if you're going to stay for a long time and this is going to be more of your home than another home, I do recommend residency. Residency is not citizenship. Okay, so residency means that you're legally allowed to stay here, and it's easy because you're going to get your Dominican, what's called a cedula, which is your national identity card, makes it easy to do a lot of things in this country, like open bank accounts and whenever you want to open an account anywhere to do anything. Usually you need cedula. Most of the time you can substitute your passport. Like I said, being here and then you eliminate that fee to leave the country over 30 days once you become a resident. It's a process. It's not hard. It just takes some time. Okay, now we got a question about this on Facebook, and I'm really hoping that the person who asked it has registered for this webinar and they're here. But if they're not, someone asked about financing on Facebook today. And I added these next two slides into the webinar to talk about it because a lot of people come, and I know in Canada and the US, you guys have access to bank financing that's pretty reasonable with pretty amazing interest rates. Banking is not the same here as it is in North America. Okay. So banks here, okay, will finance up to 70% of their assessed value of a property, not necessarily the asking price, their assessed value, something you got to be aware of. They will amortize up to 25 years, but they're only going to lock you in. The best rate they're going to give you right now for 5 years is 9%. And I know a lot of people be like, 9%, but actually in this country, that's an amazeballs rate. If you have like Dominicans will be at 13 to 15% if their mortgage is in pesos. So imagine 9% is excellent here. Um, your loan is going to have to be in US dollars, okay? And you are only allowed to get bank financing on completed properties. So any of those like pre-construction type things, you're not getting financing until that project has reached 90% of completion. Okay? I hope that's pretty clear. Now, if anybody needs financing, please reach out to me or the agent that invited you here tonight so that we can walk you through it more and introduce you to somebody at the bank who can actually help you out in a more in-depth way. Now, we also do something here called seller developer financing. So we have a lot of this happening as our sellers are realizing that the best way to help increase the buyer pool and to help give a lot of people who would love to purchase but maybe don't necessarily have 400,000 US dollars sitting in their bank account that move right now. Some of you do, some of you don't. That you're able to work with a seller or work with a developer to create some bridge financing or even something that feels more like Canadian financing or American financing. So owners or developers are going to set the terms. They are the bank. Okay, so you can't expect they get to do whatever they want because they're the bank. Know this. However, you can negotiate with them. Um, Financing is usually anywhere from 5 to 20 years. 5 years is the most common. Okay, so it's more kind of like a bridge loan, but still, it can help fill the gap sometimes. There are, a few more that are popping up in the last, 6 months where we're encouraging people if they can, to offer 10, 15, 20 years of financing. So you'll find those, but they're not as common as the 5 year. Your interest rate with a seller or a developer is going to be anywhere from 6.5 to 9%. Most people try to beat the bank rate to, keep it attractive for you. Generally, there's no penalties for early payments, so that's great. So if you just need something to fill the gap and you can pay that off earlier, well, there you go. And then your title, okay, is going to depend on the seller or developer and what they feel comfortable with. So you're either going to be able to get your title after you've paid half, okay, and then the seller developer will immediately put a lien on the property so that Obviously, you can't run away without finishing paying. And or they're going to ask you to wait until all of the payments have been made, and then you'll get your title at the end when people pay. Okay, so the title will still be there, it'll be held in escrow along with everything else. All right. So I hope that that answers some general questions about financing, and we'll be able to, to help you more with that in the Q&A. So now we've got a little intro. Okay, we are going to step into the buying process. Okay. So, where do we start? Well, you've already started. You're already here, which I'm super excited about. But you're going to start by choosing a realtor and a brokerage to partner with. And I really hope that through this experience that you're having with us tonight and the knowledge that we share with you, that RealtorDR is going to be your choice. Because when you start this journey, your agent, your brokerage are key. You need to have someone that you trust by your side who's going to tell you the process as it is in as much detail as you need to have it in. Okay. We have a saying in RealtorDR that we want you to inspect what you expect. So even if you're still in the process of trying on different agents and different brokerages, we feel confident that if you hold us up to any other agency brokerage, that you will be choosing RealtorDR at the end of the day. So once you've chosen your realtor, they're going to work with you to choose a property. You're going to look at the available listings that we have, and if we don't have what you like, we're going to reach out to other places here. And yes, the DR does not have an MLS. We'll get to that. So you really do need to work with a trusted brokerage that has good listings. We are not all the same. So once you do that, you're going to choose a property. You're going to choose the one that suits you at the inside of your budget, and you're going to make an offer. Okay, similar, not unlike your process in North America, we'll create a detailed offer to purchase. Usually that comes with a 10% deposit, and that will be held in escrow by your lawyer. We've got great lawyers here, by the way, that speak English, that we will happily connect you with. They will be responsible. Once an offer has gone through, you may go back and forth. Again, you've done this at home. You know the negotiation process will go back and forth. You land on a number and a time and a closing date and all the things, and your offer is accepted. At that point, your lawyer will begin the due diligence process, and they will start to make sure they'll dig into the title, make sure that everything is legal, that there's no liens on the property, that everything is able to be sold, and they'll prepare your promise of sale contracts. Okay. Due diligence and deposit. Okay. So you wire into your lawyer's escrow account. Okay. And then we create the contract of sale. It'll be sent to you in English and in Spanish. So you don't need to worry about not being able to understand a legal document. All of our lawyers are accustomed to providing translation to their clients so that you can make sure that everything is understood. However, the legal version of the contract will be in Spanish. And usually when we get closer to closing, you will sign both English and Spanish. Okay? And if for some reason you need it en français, we can do that. Pas de problème. So you've got to move your money. You're going to be moving your money. Some of our lawyers have escrow accounts in Florida, which can make it really easy to move money. You can also move money directly here into the Dominican Republic as well. However, that is a little bit more complicated. Then you're going to have your deed of sale. Okay, this is the final contract that that will be used and sent to the government offices in order to create the title under your name. Okay. And and that's it. And then welcome home. Once you receive your ownership, the DGII, which is our land title registry here in the country, will transfer that title into your name and away you go. Okay. It's not a crazy complicated process. Now, obviously, with different things, pre-construction is a little bit different, but that's why you've got us. That's why you've got me. That's why you've got any of our other trusted realtors here. We will walk you through, any of the things that are special. But that's really a really general way to go through the buying process. It's not incredibly complicated. Depending Most of the time, if it's a straight up cash exchange, which most of our transactions here are, there's not a whole lot that gets done with financing, but that's increasing slowly but surely. It's fairly straightforward. Contracts are not very long. They're pretty much cut and dry. Okay. So we want to talk a little bit about why, like what happens between you and your realtor. Okay. So we get to, make sure that you are in full understanding of this whole process. We want to make sure that any of the questions that you have are answered fully so that you can make an informed decision. We're going to be coordinating everything for you between wherever you are in North America or Europe and here. Okay, there's a lot of things that we do here as your realtor that we're happy to do that are a little bit different. We'll be helping you with the logistics of moving money across, multiple countries. We'll be helping you with things like, disclosing anything to do with the property, with helping you understand, the difference between construction styles here. So many things that are unique and special to the Dominican Republic and to housing and construction here, as well as real estate. We are here to guide you through it. So we want you to make sure that, in return, we want you to be honest with us. The more honest that you are with us, the better job we can do for you as realtors. Obviously, you know that, and that we want to make sure that we will negotiate for you in good faith, and make sure that this is a smooth and seamless and easy process for you. So, you know, we've helped over 430 families come here in the short time that we have been here. We are the fastest growing brokerage here on the North Coast, and that is because we care deeply. We care deeply about the quality of what we do, and we care deeply about the people who are coming to become a part of our community. I don't look at real estate as just a transaction. You are not a transaction to me. You are somebody who gets to come and be a part of my community, and I get to build that with you together. And so this process is incredibly important. And I want to encourage, all of you to reach out and get on the phone with your realtor, whether that is me or it is someone else that has invited you here today. Okay. It's really important because that time is for you. That's not for us. Okay. That's for you. And we want to make sure that you have the time to be listened to, that you have the time to build the trust with us that you want to build so that you can really step into this process knowing that you have someone who is by your side, who is dedicated to explaining everything, to creating comfort, to earning your trust, to making sure that from a distance, because so many times, so much of this is on the phone or on the computer, and the time we have together with you present here can be very, very short sometimes. So I would love for you to all, I'm going to drop, this is mine. I'm going to drop my link in the chat. And if you'd like to, I would love for you to just click it. You don't have to fill it out now. You can find a time later, but click on it so it's open on a window on your device and take a second to make that in time investment in yourself to get your personalized questions answered. Because, here I'm here and I'm really wanting to communicate with you, but obviously this is a one-way conversation at the moment. So it's really important that we take the time to speak personally. So feel free, okay? I want you to reach out. Now, it's Christmas. Okay, we all know it's Christmas time coming. It's a holiday season, and I want to presence everyone to the fact that, we spend so much of our time running around like crazy birds, buying presents for everybody, getting stressed out, making sure that there's something. But like, when was the last time you went through a holiday season like you did when you were a kid, that you were so excited about what was to come that you couldn't even fall asleep the night before? This is what I want this experience of buying in the Dominican Republic to feel like for you, that you are running towards it and you are so excited that you literally feel like a kid on Christmas Eve because you are going to be giving yourself the best gift that you could give yourself. You'll be giving yourself the gift of security, of investment, and of a lifetime of memories. This is what it means when you buy property in the Caribbean, when you create a second home for yourself, and when you put your money somewhere that is secure, that's going to grow, and it's going to be able to create a return on your investment. You know, it's time to create that Christmas for yourself. And on that very same theme, I want us to all just take a moment to realize how very privileged that we are that we're having this conversation about investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in real estate. And I'm going to do this. I normally don't do this on this webinar. However, RealtorDR, I need 2 minutes of your time. So RealtorDR is hosting, we are quarterbacking a fundraiser for Christmas. There are a lot of people here in the Dominican Republic, although this is a booming tourism and growing economy and all the things, there are still many, many people here who struggle to put food on the table and who will struggle at Christmas time. And we have created this incredible fundraiser whereby we are raising enough funds to feed 500 families this Christmas. Okay, so Rebecca's just dropped the link in the chat. If you are interested in already making a difference in this place that you want to call home in the next 3, 6 months, a year, this is a time to do it. You can donate as much or as little as you want, but Realtor DR is going to match your donation. So I do believe, I think we're only like $800 short. So how amazing would it be for us to like go over that thing at this time? Okay. So your impact will be doubled. We're going to be feeding 500 families. We're almost there. So if you can, again, click that link, just have it open on your browser, and you can come back to it when we're done because we're about to step into the Q&A right now. Okay. And I am excited to finally get to everybody's questions. And so we've got our fundraiser. I really hope that everyone just takes a second and helps a family have food. Everything you donate will be doubled. Okay, get back to real estate. Here we go. So I'm going to stop my share here. Okay. Hi, here we are, full screen again. Okay. I have some questions in the Q&A and I've got a bunch in the chat. So I'll start with the Q&A first and then I'll come back to the chat since there's more in the chat. So paperwork necessary like W-2 tax forms and credit scores. Okay. If you would like to have financing, yes, you're going to need all of those things that you need when you finance something available for the bank to decide whether or not they want to lend you money. So you'll need that. Tax returns you may need if you're moving big amounts of money into this country. You're probably going to have to give those to the bank to prove that you're not a crazy money launderer. They've got very strict money laundering rules here with the banks. And so that's why they ask it from you. Okay. Can I talk about home inspections? Cost. Do I have inspectors to refer? Absolutely. As a buyer, you will pay for the inspection. It usually costs, it depends on the size of the property. So I'm going to say it's anywhere from $200 to $400, depending on the size. You'll get a full report. Yes, we have inspectors that we can help you set the whole thing up. It takes a very short amount of time, it's usually like, again, depends on the size of the property, how long the inspection takes, but you'll usually get a very quick turnaround and you'll have the results quite quickly. Okay. We've got, so Christine is saying she's considering being certified to teach English as a second language. Is there a need for that in the Dominican Republic on the North Coast? Um, yes, absolutely. There's always a need for that. Um, and there are a couple of language schools that I could probably connect you with, as well as it could be something that could be that you could use at one of the international schools. So yes, that would be something that we could help you, connect you to some people that could be of assistance to, sort you out with that. Okay, hi Carla. We got a lot of questions from Carla, so here we go. First time home buyer considered Is the first-time home buyer considered for the DR or for the United States? I'm I'm not exactly sure what you're asking in that question. Um, Most of our first time, like our home buyers here on the North Coast, are from North America. Okay. The whole closing cost covered by the lender's developer builder, that doesn't usually happen here. No, you can always ask, but it's not common practice here. There are certain things that you guys do in the States that aren't done here. Okay, but it's can't it's not that it won't happen or it doesn't happen, but it's not common practice. Okay. So the tax credit from the Dominican government, that is called Confiture. Confiture is only available on certain projects that have A, gone to the extent to apply for it, and B, that qualify. Not every pre-construction project qualifies for Confiture. It's very hard to get. You're usually going to see it on the huge, like on a lot of the larger developments that are happening. We have one here in Cabarete, the Travieso project, and there's still, I think, a little bit of Confiture in Sosúa Ocean Village. But that's pretty much it here on the North Coast. You'll find it a lot more in, say, like Punta Cana, where they're building like these massive, like condo slash gigantic all-inclusive resorts. Okay. So once you buy the property, okay, so hang on, I didn't finish Confiture. I only started it. So for Confiture, if you do get something with Confiture, so say you want to come and you want to buy Travieso, which is happening here in Cabarete. What that means for you is you will be exempt from the 3% title transfer tax, no title transfer tax for you, and you'll be exempt from paying your 1% property tax and capital gains taxes for the next 10 to 15 years. Okay, depending on from when they got Confiture to when the project finished, that time counts also. So that's why I say 10 to 15. Okay. Once you buy the property, do I have to live permanently in the Dominican Republic, to enjoy health insurance? Nope. No, you can come and go as you please. Once you buy it, it's yours. You get to keep it and use it. You don't need to be here because it's not like Canadian health insurance that requires you to be there and paying into the system. It's not. It's something that you buy, pay for. If you're here, you get to use it. Now, Dominican health insurance is not applicable outside the country. The ones that I was telling you that I have, the second one, that's specifically for international stuff. So I can use that anywhere in the world. Okay. Um, who hires a lawyer for the transaction? The buyer, the seller, buyers and sellers can each have their own lawyers. So you are responsible for your lawyer. And as a buyer, you absolutely have to have one. Sometimes sellers, if it's a straight up, easy cash transaction, sometimes sellers choose not to be represented and they just let the buyer's lawyer handle things. Um, and do realtors who bring buyers get a commission? So yes, RealtorDR does work with other realtors, and we do split commissions. Absolutely. Okay. So Patricia's asking, are there any warranties on new homes, hidden defect issues? Okay. That's going to depend from developer to developer. So if you're purchasing a pre-construction property, yes, a home will come with some warranties. A home that's already been owned by another person and then sold to you will not come with any warranties. But on a new home that you've bought pre-construction, usually they'll guarantee a roof generally up to 5 years, at least some people more. And plumbing and electricity, that's all dependent on the developer. It's anywhere from 1 to 3 years on plumbing and electrical, things like that. And then appliances are come with from the manufacturer. Okay. Glenda, can you use Bitcoin to purchase a property and transfer directly to the wallet of a builder of choice? That is entirely dependent on the seller and the developer. I don't know of any developers in the Dominican Republic that are accepting Bitcoin. However, some sellers here do. So it's always great to ask and find out. There's not a ton, but it does absolutely happen, and we have had transactions happen in that manner. Yeah. So if you choose to rent your home or their reliable management services, you're interested in SOV. Absolutely. We've got a lot of great property management companies here. There's a couple inside of RealtorDR that I'd love to, present to you, when you're going through the buying process as well. And so feel free to interview several and find the one that is the best fit for you. Okay. Shikar, we have what type of different construction buildings do you have? Most popular, hurricane windows, kinds of certifications. So again, this is a bit of a difference here from say North America to the Dominican Republic, but here everything is built with concrete and rebar. Okay, concrete and rebar. So there's no wood structures here that are going to blow over. So building structures here tend to be pretty solid. It's also really great against fires and things like that because, concrete does not burn. Um, Windows are again dependent on the property. There's array of varieties and qualities, so that's something that you're going to have to look at each individual property. Okay, some people have sort of hurricane windows, but those would have to been imported and would have been quite quite expensive. But we do have, I do believe, one of the best we can get is like P100, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's one of our highest levels. Um, Okay. So yes, there's no guarantees if you have hidden defects. Usually what will happen is if the developer has guaranteed or created a warranty on certain parts of the house and something has happened to it, they will come back in and fix it for you. Okay. Um, can I schedule this in Spanish? So yes, I had one of my fellow colleagues in Puerto Plata request that and sí, vamos a hacer uno en español, no esta noche, pero la próxima de verdad. Do we have properties listed in Constanza? RealtorDR, we do not have any properties listed in Constanza. I would want to reach out to, another realtor and vet them and then introduce you. That's what I would do for you, Richard. And yes, the Alps of the Caribbean, it's more, I would say, Jarabacoa than Constanza. We find a lot of people purchasing properties in. It's a very popular place for even Dominicans to own a second home in Jarabacoa. So more Jarabacoa than Constanza. But yes, absolutely. And we do have properties in Jarabacoa, not so much Constanza. Okay. Patricia's got another question in Casa Linda. Do we know what the average hydro bill is for 2 to 3 home? It's it's hard to say. It really depends on usage. I'm gonna say for a 2 to 3 bedroom home, you are looking at a minimum of $200 up to $600 a month in electricity bills. Okay, electricity is expensive here. I highly recommend the investment in solar at some point in time when you feel like you're able to, if you can. Not all developments allow you to put solar on, but that is what it is. So it's definitely an expense that you want to consider as you're creating, sort of your budget moving forward. Okay, as a single woman, currently 58 years old, would it be easy, safe to socialize again, possibly with an SOV? Yeah, Christine, absolutely. SOV is very safe, and it's gated. There's lots of gated communities here, but it's a safe place here. I'm a single mom. I'm going to be 52 in January, and I feel safe just about everywhere here. There's nowhere that I don't feel safe. Common sense rules apply. If you wouldn't do it in New York City, don't do it here. Be responsible for your person and your surroundings and things like that, but it's very safe here. I have no issues either with myself or my girls and in the 26 years that I've lived here. Okay. All right, we have yes, we can hang out. Does the HOAs exist here? Yes, they do. And they're going to vary depending on your place. So you can have some places that have HOAs that are as low as $10. Rebecca's got a property out in Puerto Plata, and that's the HOA fees up to $1,000 in HOA fees. So again, it varies widely. I want to say the vast majority of HOA fees rest between $200 and $400, depending again on the size of your property and the amount of properties in the area that are sharing the costs. So HOAs are for sharing costs of running the property, such as your security, the things you share, garbage removal, backup electricity, generator, things like that. Okay, so that's what HOAs are for. You will never get hit with any of that crazy stuff you hear in Florida, like these $1 million like reassessments of safety and la 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 la. That doesn't happen here. HOAs are simply the cost of running your property that you share with your neighbors. Okay. So none of that crazy Florida stuff happens here. Do we assist with attorney and insurance representation? Absolutely. We will refer you. We have many, many trusted vendors that we work with on a regular basis and that we refer regularly to our clients. So we're going to be happy to take care of that. Okay. All right, we got a whole bunch of messages over here. You're welcome, Luke. Okay, so what have I missed over here? So, how safe are the properties that are being developed? What safeguards are in place to ensure newly constructed homes are safe? Okay, so for this, we don't have an inspection process and permit process like you guys have in North America. Okay, so we highly recommend that when a property is finished and you're going to purchase, before you sign on the dotted line and you get your keys, have an inspection done. And if there's anything that needs to be addressed with the builder, you do that at that point before you hand it over that last chunk of money. Okay. Um, so let's see, what else do we have? How far to the east on the North Coast does your firm represent? Well, up until now, I know we do have some property that's all the way over in Monte Cristi. I'm going to say we specialize from like Costembar to Cabrera is our area that we're really specialized in. We do represent properties in Punta Cana, mostly pre-construction, because that's very easy for us to do from a distance. We do have some properties in Jarabacoa as well. Okay. So that's the vast majority, but I want to say 85% of our properties are up here on the North Coast. Let's see. What are my top reasons to be in Cabarete versus another area? Oh, I love this question. Okay. And, versus Punta Cana, etc. Okay. So obviously, I came here when I was quite young, and I fell in love with Cabarete. So I am someone who really likes being in a place where I can get to know my neighbors. I don't, for me, big city living's not for me. I lived in Toronto. I loved it for 2 years and it was a wonderful experience, but that's not, I want to be somewhere where I walk down the road and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Hey, oh my God, how are you? That's what I want. I also like to be, somewhere with minimal traffic again. Once you spent 3 hours of your day in traffic, it's not something I choose to do, which is why, again, I love Cabarete. I love Cabarete because of the international community. People live here from all over the world. And I love that I can be completely immersed in the Dominican culture and with my Dominican, friends and staff and etc. And then, I can also have those things that creature comforts that I'm used to. Speaking English in the way I like to speak English. To, when you come to my spa, for example, you're going to receive North American customer service. Things like that where things in my world operate on time. Those kinds of little things that make you still feel comfortable and at home, that things are easy to access here. The water sport community is vibrant and people are active here. People are out walking on the beach every single morning. We've got tons of Pilates and CrossFit and yoga, and it's an amazing, amazing community that's here. Now, Punta Cana is great. A lot of people go to Punta Cana. You got tons of flights there. It's sprawling, it's massive, it's grown to the point where, you're gonna invest in some traffic time in Punta Cana now. But it's also a wonderful area. There's so many places in the Dominican Republic, and we encourage you to come down and experience them. And if you fall in love with one, that's your place, just like I did 26 years ago. Um, so how do we know what your property is worth for annual taxes? It does go by what your property is registered at in the DGII. And you can just send a quick email to your lawyer every year and they'll tell you what and how much to pay. Okay, so your lawyer can help you take that. Let's see. Oh, Chris, I'm hoping to meet you too in person in April. That's great. April will be here before we know it. What else have I missed here? Does the buyer ever have to pay for a realtor commission? Nope. Sellers pay the realtor commission. Um, and let's see. Do you have no? We had that one I answered. Do you get citizenship by investment? So I know that a lot of people read that there's automatic citizenship with investment. That's not quite how that works. So purchasing a property over $200,000 will, in a way, fast track you through a certain portion of your residency process, but it's not like you purchase a home and you get your citizenship papers at the same time. You're still going to have to go through the process, which requires the translation of documents, the checking of your background with either internal Dominican police or your, RCMP or FBI at home, those kinds of things. They still will require you to do the blood test and the checks x-ray and all of the things that are required for residency here. So, but it does help you with the financial solvency part of the process. It shows that yes, you have enough money, you will not become a burden on the Dominican Republic. Okay? You don't need, Luke, you don't need citizenship prior to purchasing. You're good. You don't need any residency. You don't need any visas. It is easy peasy. Like I said, if you start spending a lot of time here and you feel like it's something that you want to do, you can pursue it at that time, but you don't need to do it ahead of time. Okay. So Marlene, you're asking for the average cost of solar. Okay, so we're talking about solar electricity on a 2 to 3 bedroom. Again, it depends on what kind of system you want. So I know that you can just have solar panels and you can pay back into the Edenorte system. That's one way you can pay for solar and have some batteries and still be connected to the grid, or you can get solar and have all the batteries and be off the grid. Those three options come with varying price points, okay? So you can always, and I want to say, you're probably looking, at a minimum investment from like, 5 to 7 to and 10, and then you can go 10, 20, 30, 40. Again, it really depends on how much you need and what kind of system is going to work best for you, okay? Um, Let me see. What other have I missed some more questions here? So, what if your property is under 200,000? Can you still get residency? Yep, April, not a problem. Again, really, the financial solvency question can be solved quite easily. Even if you buy a car, if you own a car here, that's plenty. You don't need to own a home, okay? But they use the $200,000 again. It just helps fast track a part of the residency. And you can absolutely get it with a property that's worth less. How do residents, hygiene, how do residents deal with the water filtration since you can't consume tap water anywhere in the country? Great question. There are two of the most common ways. One, people either use what's called the botellones, the great big blue bottles, and you have a dispenser for those. Or we have on the North Coast, I'll speak specifically here. We have an incredible company here called EcoServe, and they are one of our local companies who set up UV filtration systems. They service them. They can either give you a one and done underneath the sink, and again, they come every 3 months. They change the filters. They handle everything. They're wonderful, and they can also put on a whole home system so that every tap in your house has filtered water in it. Okay, so yes, you can totally manage it. It's just a matter of money. So how much does EcoServe cost? So an under the sink UV filter where you'll get the little separate spigot on the side. That setup is usually, I do believe, about $750. A whole home system, and again, depends, I think, a little bit on the size of your house, but I do believe it's approximately $2,500 to have the whole home system done. Okay. Maybe it might have shifted a little bit because I haven't had one for a client in the last like 4 or 5 months, but that's what it was this past year. Okay, you're welcome. Um, is there any benefit to purchasing if one of us is Dominican? Unfortunately, no. Sometimes if that person who is Dominican has a banking history here, sometimes you might be able to get a different kind of financing easier for a property than you will as a North American. Please understand that this country did not offer any financing to any foreign nationals like 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, this is a new thing that they've instituted, so it is very new still. So not everybody gets in there, but sometimes if someone is a Dominican with history here, so not someone who's Dominican but has lived abroad their whole life, someone who's here with banking history can get it easier. Other than that, there are no benefits. Um, can we chat about title types? So I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but there a title you want to make sure that you work with your lawyer. okay? And that um, with the lawyer, they're going to make sure they're going to do the due diligence on your title and make sure that it's good. Okay, that it's free of liens and that there's no reason that it cannot be sold and that it's also been updated in what's called a deslinde process. So deslinde is sort of like the modern GPS coordinates that have your title property has been verified with modern day standards versus the old school titles that existed back in the day before the new deslinde process was instituted. Okay, but that's something that you're going to work through with your lawyer and make sure that it's good to go. Okay. Um, let's see. Have I missed anything else? Okay, how likely is it that the lawyer we work with for the house could also handle immigration stuff? Or more likely, it's different people's specialties. Um, Usually, it's different people's specialties, so it wouldn't necessarily be the same lawyer. However, we work with a group called Guzman Ariza. They are the largest legal firm in the entire country. They have offices all over the country, including up here, and they would be able to, within the Guzman Ariza family, help you connect. You would go from your real estate lawyer to an immigration lawyer who could help guide you through the process and make it smooth, which is always ideal. Sometimes trying to figure stuff out here is you could be it can be a rough road sometimes if you want to DIY everything here. That's why we encourage you as realtors to lean on us, lean on your realtors, lean on the people that you know and on your lawyers instead of trying to DIY things because that can sometimes be an exercise in frustration. Um, is the down payment for a finance property always 30%? And what doc should I have when applying for financing? Okay. So, yes. So the down payment isn't always 30%. It could be more. So the the banks here will only finance up to 70%. So you're going to have to come in with a minimum of 30% when you're financing, minimum. So what I tell people is usually to look at properties that are a little bit under what that 30 would be, okay, in order to be sort of in a safe zone. The documents that you're going to have, we've got a great list of them on our website, but I can send them to you. They are your usual things. They want to know your credit score. They want to have some of your tax returns. They want to find out your debt to income ratio, things like that. Same things they're looking for at your banks back home, they're going to look for here. Usually it's easy to get pre-approved. Once you're pre-approved, then like that's you want to do that first and then we'll go look at properties because there's no point in going wasting our time looking at properties if you can't get the pre-approval and get the financing. Okay, so we usually recommend if you do need a bank finance, that's step one, that we get that taken care of first and then you come back to us. We pass you over to one of our trusted banking specialists first. um so the role of realtor, mhm, that requires licensing and membership. What does that look like in the Dominican Republic? It does not look like that in the Dominican Republic. We are not licensed. There is an association of realtors here. However, it's not mandatory to be a part of them. And so again, this is why we want you to choose your realtors very carefully, and we want you to inspect what you expect because literally anyone can put a hat on and says I'm a realtor, including yours truly. However, I'm hoping that after tonight, after the amount of information that I've shared with you, when you come on the RealtorDR website and you see the amount of information that we can provide you with, and that the standards of excellence with which we care for you, and with the incredible amount of other vendors that we are able to connect you with, that you will realize that we are a safe and trustworthy choice. And again, you get to inspect what you expect. And if you're interviewing other realtors besides us, again, please hold them to the highest standards, regardless, but there is no one out there in the background doing any sort of policing, okay? What are the reputable bank companies that you can open an account with? Great question. So, Jean, you can open the most common one that we recommend to our clients is one of the easiest ones for foreigners and immigrants to get a bank account at is Banco Santa Cruz. Okay. And again, opening a bank account, you are going to need your ID. Okay. So you're going to need your passport and your driver's license. If you're opening a US account, you're going to need a minimum deposit of $500 that will have to stay. For a peso account, I think it's 5,000 pesos, which is about 100 US dollars or a little less in pesos. And then you're going to need like 6 months of your bank statements and some letters of reference. Okay. So you're going to want to make sure that you make an appointment with the bank ahead of time. Ask your realtor to help you. We'll help you get that part set up. Okay. But it's very doable. What is the average down payment for owner financing? Joe, great question. Since we talked about owner financing, again, that's going to depend on the financing terms, but the most common is 50% for owner financing. Okay. Most common thing you're going to see here is 50% down and then 50% financed over 5 years at 8%. That is the most common owner financing that happens here. However, for example, we currently have an amazing property in Casa Linda. It's 4 bedrooms. It's $389,000 and it is 200,000 down. It's a little bit, let's leave a little bit more, but you get financing for 20 years on that one. And then we've got some others. We had a couple of other properties that were only 10 or 20% down. Again, that's not super common, but they do happen. So if you see one and that's your jam, get on it. Don't wait because those things don't stick around for very long. So yes, Richard, yes, anyone can call themselves a realtor, absolutely. And again, this is why I want you to inspect what you expect and check out someone's knowledgeability and feel free. I can any day, I want you to go on our Google review page and I want you to look at the hundreds, more than 100 reviews that we have, see people's experiences for yourself. And in a heartbeat, I would connect you with two or three different, say, lawyers in our community as a reference for myself. So again, you want to beware. That's the way it is. And again, you want to find true professionals who are dedicated to knowledge and service and trust. Okay. You want to talk about the fact there's no MLS. So how can you hunt around on your own online? Ooh, that's a spicy question. So again, I want to encourage you to come to our website, at least for the North Coast. We have the most accurate website that exists on the North Coast. I will not speak for any other companies. However, I do know that ours is the most accurate, and many realtors actually use our website as a source. There's something else called PropStar that you can use, as well as you can search up other people's websites. We will help you as a buyer. If we don't have the inventory that you need, we will go outside of us and find it. Do know, please know, if something looks too good to be true on someone else's website, it might be catfish. It happens. Okay. Just know that it does. People leave things up for like 4 years and you're looking at a price from 4 years ago going, but I want that. Except they just use that in order to start a conversation with you. Okay. So just beware. And again, inspect what you expect and be aware that not everyone is as honest and trustworthy. Okay. Um, Great. Oh, thanks, Cecily. I love that. Um, okay. Oh, donation link again. Rebecca, could you drop the donation link? That would be great. I know it's if you scroll back in the chat, it's in there. If one of my colleagues is around, I'm going to get them to do that right now. Let's see. No, 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 no. Did I miss any questions, team? Oh, I have a message. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Rebecca. There's the link to the donations, everybody. Wow, look at that. We're bang on 9 o'clock. So does anyone else have any other questions? Did I miss a question in the chat? If I did, please drop it again because I'm frantically scrolling and looking yet wanting to continue to provide you guys with more information. Um, Understanding the average returns on rental income. Sure, Joe. Great question. So a lot of people, want to know, hey, I want to buy this property, but I'm not going to be living there, but I do want to come and enjoy it when I'm on vacation, but I would love for it to, sort of pay for itself when I'm not here. That is, 90% of our clients, just same as you. Okay. And we are able to, any property, create what's called an investor summary. Our amazing CEO, Thomas, has created the most amazing simple form that allows us to plug in a few numbers and create this amazing spreadsheet for you. So again, it depends on the property and it depends on, again, you know, if it's where it's located, is it desirable for tourism? These are questions you want to ask with your realtor as you're choosing a property. if rental return is really important for you. Because if you're going to choose a property out in the middle of nowhere, odds are you're not going to get a lot of tourist traffic there. Okay. Um, Let me see. Oh, because Rebecca's only to hosts and panelists. Hang on, team. I will go to everyone. 1 second. There we go. Hang on. I have the chat set up. There you go. So Rebecca, if she does it again, we'll be able to. Can you see that link from me now? Now she can. I had the permissions messed up. Okay, great. So, as a Canadian, do I need to show credit score or tax information to purchase a pre-construction property? Nope. No, you don't. So the way pre-construction work, I'll break it down really simple, is usually it's like anywhere from two to $5,000 to sort of separate the unit that you want to buy. And then you've got about 30 days to move like the first anywhere from, 10 to 30%, depending on every developer is different. Then there'll be a portion that you'll pay over the course of construction. And then there'll be a final payment that you make at the end when you receive your keys. That's generally how it works. Every developer is different, but you don't need to show anything ahead of time to start purchasing the property. Okay? Is Cabarete good for tourist rental? You betcha it is. We attract wind sport enthusiasts all year round. We have two high seasons where some places like Punta Cana only have one high season. We've got two because in the summertime our winds are incredibly consistent and we have tons of families and wind sport addicts who come for long chunks of time in the summer. Uh, Hey Mo, so if you do cash purchase and use a lawyer's escrow account versus a bank in the DR, what paperwork is required? So for the lawyer's escrow account, which would be in the United States, usually it's just a simple agreement between you and the lawyer. Okay, there's nothing complicated, no paperwork required. They will charge you their fee and that's it. And then when the transaction is complete, they will move the money from their escrow account, obviously, to the sellers. You only need to provide tax returns when you are making a deposit directly into a bank account here in the Dominican Republic. Okay, so if you're not going to use your lawyer's escrow account in the US and you're going to deposit directly here, which some developers ask you to do, just know that you'll be asked to provide 6 months of bank statements in a PDF, and you'll be asked to provide your tax returns probably for like 2 years. Again, those things are to combat money laundering because this country is trying to up its credit rating so it can get better funding from the World Bank. Is it easy to import a personal car or is it not worth it? It's not worth it. Honestly. Can you do it? You sure can. Don't do it yourself. No, 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 no. That's the fastest way to pay twice for your car and then like literally want to hit yourself over the head with a cast iron pan. So, if you have a vehicle that is incredibly important to you that you cannot purchase here in this country and you have to have it, I would say find yourself an importer who specializes in moving cars into this country, work with them and do whatever they tell you to do. Because that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, I suggest you sell your car in wherever you live and you come here and you buy another one. That it is the easiest way. And yes, cars are going to be more expensive here than they are over there because they had to get on a boat and come through customs. Okay. So let's see. Joe's asking, would it make sense to invest today if I'm in my late 40s to start early for retirement planning? Oh, that's a great question, and it makes a lot of sense. Start now. I mean, for those of you who know, investing in real estate is something that it's it is one of the safest investments that you can ever have. For me personally, my investment in real estate has allowed me to grow, a tiny little chunk of money to now, inside of the current home that I live in, you know, a, a value of, $700,000. I went from owning a townhouse that I bought at $72,000. Obviously it was 26, 23 years ago, but that's, the kind of growth that I've had. And for you to want to have a place that you can retire to and literally just have the operating costs when you're here, it's ideal because you can have it paid off while you're still working, and then have the ability to enjoy it And then when you're ready to retire, you can either sell it and buy something that's more appropriate for whatever age that you choose, or just continue to enjoy that same place that you've had since your 40s. Um, yeah, so Chris, if you got an antique motorcycle, you gonna work with somebody specialized and you're gonna see if it's worth it or not because the amount of customs that you might pay could be very prohibitive to that. So know that most customs here start at 30% and go up to 70 that you'll be paying. Know that. It's not like a little bit, it's not like 10%, it's not like 5%. You're going to be paying a large chunk of money to bring that vehicle in, so it better be really important for you to have it here. Otherwise, it's better off sold or staying back in North America. Okay? And I am quite stern about that conversation because I've seen people like just be waste so much time and money trying to get a vehicle in. Um, Okay, so terms of ROI in real estate, is Punta Cana grow the best growing? So yeah, I mean, listen, Punta Cana's great. Punta Cana's solid. There's a ton of pre-construction development there. Do know that most of the stuff close to the coastline in Punta Cana proper is already kind of spoken for. Most of the developments are moving like 10 to 20 minutes inland, and there's some great ones. We've got the cruise on land. We've got Taman. We have some amazing properties that are right in Punta Cana. Great investments. If you love Punta Cana, absolutely. We've got another amazing development in Meaches. So if you're somebody who's in it for the long game, come and talk to me about Meaches. I did a webinar just on that development, so I can send that to you and you can get curious about it. Both areas of this country, whether you're looking at the North Coast, you're looking at Punta Cana, they're both growing. Okay. Punta Cana is really big and it's still growing. And here on the North Coast, we're in an expansive moment right now because, we were, slow, not slow, but like we were big in the 90s and then we weren't, and Punta Cana was big, and now we're on a comeback. So the North Coast is growing, so you're in good. Okay, so please share the link for Meaches. I am not going to be able to find that right this second. I don't know if any of my colleagues can go running into YouTube and find that on my behalf, but if not, Shannon, I would love for you to send me a message or grab that. I know that's the GoFundMe. Grab that link to book a time with me, and I can send you everything. Hang on, here we are. I'm going to drop that again for you guys so you have it. Okay. That. And for those of you who came in and you got a message from me already, like a text message, you can just text me. I will absolutely, Margarita, send you that. So I've got Shannon and Margarita. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to send you stuff on Meaches. Okay, so Scott asked a great question. Um, For those who are already 65 plus and retired, is it more difficult to purchase a property? Nope. It's just as easy. There are some tax benefits for those who are over 65. However, that requires you to work with a lawyer to apply for those tax breaks here in this country. Okay? It's not something that automatically a wand waves, you're 65 and boom, someone in the Dominican government will offer you tax break. You just have to apply for it with your lawyer and find out what restrictions, etc., all those things. Um, okay, can a property be purchased by a U.S. trust as opposed to in your name? It can. That's a process. So if you're planning to purchase, and I don't know if you can do it with a trust. I know that you can have an LLC registered in the Dominican Republic as its own business. That is a process that can take a couple of months. So it's not something that you want to do after you're already in the buying process. It's something that you'd want to do ahead of time. As far as I'm aware of, I don't think you can do it as a trust. But if that trust is its own LLC, then there is a possibility. And again, you just have to register that business. It's a property. It can take up to 3 months. Work with a lawyer. Do it before you search for properties. Okay. All right. Oh, you're welcome, Jean. I'm so glad that I could be helpful for you. Oh, Lena, Rockstar. She found the link. Go ahead, click on that link. I'm going to guess that's Meaches. Um, yes. So everybody, for those of you who are still with me, and there's still 69 of you here. Yay! I'm going to be sending you tomorrow morning. You're going to get the replay. You're going to get access to my slides. Okay. And you're going to have the opportunity again, whoever brought you into this webinar, whether you saw it, whether you clicked on an ad and you registered, or whether you got an invite from someone inside Realtor DR, if you're with me, you're with me. You should know by now because I will have reached out to you. And if someone here on staff invited you here, oh my goodness, get on the phone with them in the next couple of days. Take that time either with me or with another agent and have that you time. We are so delighted when we get to spend one-on-one time with everybody answering all of your personal questions. I know we've done a ton here tonight and I've shared a lot with you, but you're going to have your own special questions and I want to answer every single one of them. And I know each and every one of my colleagues is absolutely the same. We are dedicated to making sure that you feel comfortable. Most of us in Realtor DR have moved here from another place. We have some incredible Dominican agents as well who are from here, and they bring that power with them as well. But those of us who have come from somewhere else, we know what it means. We know the anxieties. When I talk to my clients, those of you who know me, I'm going to give you a permission slip at the end of the conversation. I say, here's your permission slip. You ask me every question, all of the little questions, the silly questions, the one you think doesn't matter, the one you think is dumb. You ask it. Why? Because you're trying to purchase country, real estate in another country, and you need to have those questions answered, no matter what they are. So consider this your permission slip. Um, Oh, I'm so glad, Christine, that you're feeling that this is becoming more clear. This is exactly my intention tonight was to create, clarity and trust and inspiration. I want to inspire you to do what I did when I was 25 years old and take a leap and come to the Dominican Republic and know that it's going to be one of the best decisions that you've ever made and that myself or Realtor DR, like we've got you. We take you every step of the way and we stay with you. I am still with my clients to this day on every property that I've sold, whether it means going back to help them with find a dentist, find a school, come over for an Aperol spritz in the afternoon and hang out with me. All of those things. We as agents, we don't leave you. This is again, we're building our community and you get to come be a part of that. And we're excited to make that as comfortable and as easy as we possibly can. So, Sonia, we actually don't have an office in Cabarete. Our office is in Sosua, and Sosua and Cabarete are literally 10 minutes apart. So, our office you can find in the La Sirena Market Plaza. Okay. Um, all right, wonderful. If we don't have any other, um, oh, yes, you can, I'm sure you can still talk to me, Richard. However, whoever is your agent is your agent, and if you'd like, we can work together. But I'm gonna, you know, we like to, what is the word I'm looking for? We like to support each other and we like to support whoever is been connected first to a client. But if you'd like to speak with me, I'm happy to speak with you. And I'm happy to bring in the other agent that you've already been connected with so that we can all work together and help you find a property. That's what I'm trying to say. I am a crazy Canuck. Although I have now officially been in this country longer than I lived in Canada. So I'm not sure what that makes me anymore. But in this country, for those of you who are Dominican, I would say I am like completamente aplatanado. I've been plantained. Um, okay. Anne, I see you've got your hand up. However, did you drop something in the chat? Oh, there you go. You did. And I'd missed it. Thank you, Anne. So how long does it take to record a deed? It took 2 years when you bought in Sosua. Okay, so that normally, and I'm gonna guess you're asking about the title transfer. That should normally happen within like 30 to 90 days is the standard right now. Now, if yours took 2 years, that could have meant that there was something going on with the original title that you should have been made aware of before you closed. Okay. So I'm going to assume that there were some extenuating circumstances on that because it normally does not take 2 years. Okay. It should be if the title, the deed of sale is good to go and there are no liens and there's no problems with it, then 30 to 90 days. Right now, they're coming between 30 and 45 right now. Okay. I hope that's helpful. Um, Okay. All right. Wonderful. It's 9:16, so I want to honor all of you. I am so blessed and honored again that you've chosen to spend this time with me, and I hope that I've created clarity for you. Please reach out. Please reach out, whether you're ready to buy now or you're ready to buy in a year or 2 years from now. Let's have that conversation. Let's take that time one-on-one together to connect so that I can answer your questions, even if it's coming up with a plan for you in how we walk the next year to 2 years until you're ready to make that. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. So I'm here for you now. I'm here for you in a year. I'm here for you in 4 years' time. So, but let's connect. Let's create that relationship that's more two-way because I'm dying to like have your beautiful faces on my screen with me and to have conversations with each and every one of you. All right. Beautiful, wonderful people. That is it for tonight. Keep your eyes peeled for your replay and your presentation slides. And I can't wait to see each and every one of you on a Zoom call very, very, very soon. Good night, and we can't wait to welcome you to our neighborhood.